Okay. Um, Last week we were able to complete the talk of fact, and today we start with the occult powers, talismans, and sorcerers. We are still dealing with the influence of the spirits in our daily lives, and I think it's important that we keep that in mind. And I'd like to start when we talk to talisman, sorcerers, occult powers, that we have absolute respect to every spiritualist, um, institution, religions, groups, to respect absolutely those who make use of different tools of what we use in spirituals. And just as long as they use for the good, just as long as they use to produce something of good for themselves and for others, that's all good with us. Spiritual being also a science, see things a little bit different than most spiritualist um, institutions, that we seek to be more objective in a very rational, reasonable, and scientific means. And that makes us eliminate some of those practices the other spiritualist movement make use of. But in any way, we are degrading, we're putting down anyone in any way. Okay, I think it's important we start with this statement. Another thing that we'll be covering throughout this topic, the influence of spirits in our lives, and it becomes almost repetitive, but fact is that we are continuously being bombarded by spiritual energies of all kinds. And there is a law of affinity that makes us more likely to attune with this or that group of spirits. And it's based on on the way we think, on what our intentions are. And if you push back a little bit more, sentiments generate thoughts. Thoughts as energies, spirits interact with us through the energies that we emanate, our thoughts that we emanate. But since sentiments generate thoughts, in reality, it's really what we have in our heart that will bring spirits close to us. Okay, and that becomes repetitive in many of the questions. And I'm probably gonna have to say this again a few more times. Okay, but that is um, the fact. Okay, that it is what I have in my heart that will make generate quality of thoughts, and those thoughts you picked up by spirits, and that will be influenced by them in that way. All right. Another thing to keep in mind is that the spirits, especially on this topic, and when we go to the next chapter, are extremely objective in answering those questions. They will answer exactly what was questioned. And that's why Kardec very often has A, B, C to clarify things. And I think 551 is a good example of what I just said. You read for us today, Philip?
Yes.
Let's go. Thank you.
551. Can a malicious person cause harm to a neighbor with the assistance of a bad spirit? No, God would not permit it.
Okay, so you see here the objectiveness of the spirits. The answer is no, period. God would not permit that malicious persons who would cause harm to the neighbors with assistance of bad spirits. But then say, wow, really? I've seen that happen a lot. We're going to go see later on why we have seen that a lot. If already not covered that in previous questions over here, right? Most of the harm that happens to us is caused by ourselves, caused by the ways that we produce thoughts that invite, that create window of opportunities for malicious spirits make use of what we have within us. Because if you don't have any impurity of none of us, we will have no affinity. We will not create any window of opportunity when you want to come and cause us harm. Okay? Since we live here in this world of trials and expiations, tells us that we are still very underdeveloped, morally speaking, to believe in this kind of world. So therefore, all of us, none of here is pure enough to say, I am protected 100%, 100% of the time. No. You fail, we'll give in to temptations, and every time that you do that, we open with opportunities to malicious spirits to take advantage of what we have within us. Because if you did not have, there is no way God would not permit, because it would not be fair. Okay? Any questions, comment? Yeah.
Here,
The questions when they are reading?
yeah.
But are you guys being able to hear me well?
Hear you well, didn't hear the question person said.
Let me see if I can bring this. Yes. Yeah, the question was, what about a child? A child is still too young to have malicious thought. Why is a child being exposed to some difficult situations like seeing spirits and spirits that doesn't look all that good at a very young age? One, these are very rare cases, okay, that happen. Two, the child is not a child. In reality, the child is an old spirit that is reincarnated and going through the process of intrauterine life to a baby, but that spirits already come with a bag of experiences, of a bag of responsibilities, with a bag of trials to accomplish. In very rare situations, some of those trials start earlier than what we should be. In general, children are very well protected from this kind of problems that may start later in life. But in very rare occasions, may start earlier. Okay, but keep in mind that it's the baby, the child is, the spirit is not a child. The spirit has a laundry bag of many experiences of previous existences. And they bring all those experience, all those karmas, so to say, with them. Because most of us start to have an opportunity to make those reparations later in life, in very rare cases during childhood. So that's a good question. Okay?
552.
Liz? Yeah, it's not going up, really.
What should we think of the belief that certain people can cast spells over others? Some people possess a very strong magnetic power, which they may use for evil purposes if their spirit is bad. In that case, other bad spirits may encourage them. However, do not take stock in any imagined magical power, which exists only in the imagination of superstitious people who are uneducated in regards to the true laws of nature. The facts presented to prove its existence are really due to natural causes that have been incorrectly observed and understood.
Um, the study of magnetism is out there, is very well documented that some individuals have some what we call magnetic energies. I don't know why the word magnetic. It does not, it's not related to magnet as in geology. But some people has the ability indeed to modify energies around us greater than others. When that happens, it's within the natural laws. There is nothing that is supernatural. Some things that cannot be understood now is because our science have not been able to figure out yet, but eventually will. I always bring the case of at the time of colonization of Brazil, one of the Portuguese men was looking for the emerald. Name was Ananguera. And he decided the Indians, the native of the land, knew where the emerald was, but didn't want to tell him. And he was absolutely obsessed and convinced that the Indians, the natives, was hiding the emerald to them. So he took a little bowl, filled up with liquid, set it on fire, and said, and told to the natives, if you do not give me the emeralds, I will set all your water on fire, all the rivers, I'll set everything on fire. And the Indians believed him. They didn't understand. They didn't know that that Portuguese men had put alcohol and hot water inside of that bottle. For them, it was a miracle. They were not. They did not understand that some liquids that are flammable in there. For them, it was a miracle. We see things today that we may call it a miracle. And if you wanted to define miracle as a phenomenon that our science they still cannot explain, I accept. If you're going to tell there is something supernatural, it is a derivation of the perfection of God. If God is perfect and creates nature perfect, there could be nothing above the perfection of God. So there cannot exist the super or the supernatural. That is what the Spirit says over here. The imagination of superstitious people who are uneducated in regards to the true laws of nature. But there are individuals who does have a little bit more energy and may even be able to manipulate spirits in accordance to the affinity of their thoughts, and nothing more than that. Common? Questions, next one.
553. What is the effect of the potions and practices that some people claim have helped them to control spirits? If they really put faith in them, these potions and practices make them ridiculous. If they do not, they are frauds who deserve to be punished. This is all deceit and hocus pocus. There is no special word, Kabbalistic sign, or talisman that has any power over spirits because they are attracted by thought and not by anything material.
Okay. So let's assume that I have a talisman. I have a crystal rock that I believe is powerful that can help me conquer things. And let's say that I go to the casino and I start playing whatever game, and I believe that with the rock in my hand, with the crystal in my hand, I will make a fortune in the casino. Well, when you go to the casino, you are playing with the law of probabilities. It's mathematics. And the law of probability in the casino is for you to leave your money there and go home with an empty pocket. And in general, that's what happens, right? So let's assume that this day this guy go over there, I go there with my rock, and what's my luck day? The proper laws of properties are my favor. I did well. And I believe in this even more. So next week I go back again. But now the law of probability was against me. And I left all my money there. So what happens with the power of that talisman? It stopped working, you know, it doesn't. Okay, the law of probabilities will prevail. If you buy your lotto tickets every day, you have a chance of winning one in a billion. Maybe you get that 1 billion. But it's not because of the talisman, not because of the prayers, not because of anything. It's pure law of probabilities that it's gonna happen. Someone in this country is gonna win something today. But it's gonna be 1 out of 100 million to play. Well, it's not because you have a talisman in your hand, it's not because you hold to your whatever you believe, that is going to help you. But the important thing that Kardec divides here into groups of individuals who make use of these portions of those practices of holding to those sorcerers. It's 2 groups. One group is one who really puts faith in them. So these portions and practice make them ridiculous. They just made them for themselves. You know, today when the casino did well, next week, I'm gonna make a fool of myself. I'm gonna give all the money back to them plus something else. Because the law of probability is against me. It's mathematics, it's science. And science will prevail, right? And there is a second group. If they do not, they are frauds who deserve to be punished. Now I'm using these portions, these practices as a means to gullible people, to make fool of people, to take advantage of the innocence, of the uneducation, of the ignorance of people. And I'm committing here a very serious crime against the natural laws. I'm deceiving people. Then the word punish over here, we can read as we have conquered the very difficult responsibilities, we have to deal with them later. And the divine laws will prevail, and we have to address this eventually with the divine laws. And then the most important thing here is that, what I said in the beginning, there is no special word, Kabbalistic signs or talisman that has any power over spirits because they are attracted by thoughts and not by anything material. So providing to the spirit anything of material thing, trying to control them, that important in the questions to control them will not work. But thoughts will be attracted, you will attract for the spirit in accordance to our energies, in accordance with our thoughts, nothing material. Is that Anna?
Yes, hi Elmo. Hi everyone. Couple of questions, Elmo. As you're mentioning objects, and it's very clear, of course, that the thoughts are what align and attract spirits. But could it also be that spirits are attached to a particular object and they just stay around? And if we become attached to that particular object, there could be some kind of a interaction of good or bad in some way because that spirit was never able to distance him herself from the object.
Okay. So the question from those who did not hear is, we attract the spirits through thought. So that's not what I'm saying. That's what the spirits are saying here, right? Because they are attracted by thought and not by anything material. That's what the spirits are telling you, not me. I'm disagreeing with them. Now the question is, what if, let's assume, a spirit is very attached to something material. Let's say a jacket. He just liked that jacket. Another jacket that he bought that belonged to Elvis Presley, and he bought it in a whatever, and died, and she doesn't care about anything else about that jacket. And all of a sudden, I go to Salvation Army store and I see the jacket and I buy it. And could that spirit who is so attached to that jacket give me a problem? Again, I go back. If I have anything within me, okay, that creates the window of opportunity for that spirit, it could. But if I am myself detached from material things, I mean, it's just another jacket. I find it pretty, I bought it, it was cheap, but I don't care. And I keep myself, let's say, vigilant. Jesus suggests, be vigilant and pray. No, the spirit will not gonna bother me, not gonna be able to do anything with me. As long as it do not create, do not give that spirit a window of opportunity. Okay. If we would accept that possibility, most of us, when we leave this physical world, we have attachment to something. This world will be so chaotic with all the spirits trying to bother that because of think, oh yeah, this house is mine. Yeah, there's cases of it, the spirits do not leave the house. Have to book the others, and they want to keep the house. It's my house. You get attached to anything. You get like attached even to other individuals. It's my wife. You can remarry her now. Just because I died, then you can remarry. She cannot remarry. She's mine. She's my possession. And then widows are getting married back and forth. If they have that they don't like, they suffer their own suffering. People do not suffer in general. Is there exception to the case? Yeah, there's exception to the cases. But we're going to stick with the general, with the majority of the cases. There might be one specific case that this attachment produces problem to one of us here, but that will be the exception. Okay? And we have the 53 now.
We didn't do the second piece of that question.
Just a minute. I'm sorry?
We didn't do the second piece, subsection A of that question.
Right. Okay, now.
Shall I?
Yes, please.
Haven't certain spirits sometimes dictate Kabbalistic formulas? Yes. There are spirits who give you strange signs and words and prescribe certain acts to perform plots, but you can rest assured that these spirits are marking you and your gullibility.
Once you leave this physical body, go back to the spiritual world, we're not going to change that much. Most of us will come to the realization that a lot of things that we practice over here are nonsensical, are childish, and we're going to leave behind and move on with our spiritual life. Some of us will retain all those practices and ignorance with them. And if they believe that a crystal or a cross or anything has a special power, they may continue to have that in the spiritual world. And they may suggest to us here to continue the practices that they practiced before. There are others that the spirits put over here that I just want to have some fun, just want to mock us and enjoy our ignorance, our ignorance, our gullibility, just for the fun of it. They don't care, they just want to enjoy having fun with our ignorance. But the point is that there was something about us that attracted those spirits to use our ignorance and make and mock us and play with us. So we will expect the spirits to come out and say all kinds of things because it's just us without a physical body. If you have a bunch of people doing all kinds of things over here, why you do not expect that to happen in the spiritual world? We don't change that much, not that fast. Any questions, any comment? 54 then.
554. Could those who believe in talismans attract spirits by their belief alone? Here, the talisman would be a sign that helps direct their thoughts, which then are the true cause of the actions that take place. This is true, but the nature of the spirit attracted would depend on the purity of intent and the elevation of the party attracting it. One who is simple enough to believe in a talisman rarely has anything more than material motives. In any event, such practices imply a narrowness and a weakness of mind that would naturally pave the way for inferior and mocking spirits.
And the spirits will use what they have within us. Okay, so for those who believe in talismans attract spirits by their beliefs alone, here the talisman would be a sign that helps direct their thoughts, which then are the true cause of the actions that take place. Naturally, that's what I just said. If I truly believe in power of a talisman, of a rock, of a crystal, anything else, and I discard it, and I continue to have this kind of belief, I will naturally be attracted by incarnate spirits who have still the same beliefs, and we will create amongst us that relationship. We have that thing in common, all right? So this is true. But the nature of the spirit attracted would depend on the purity of intent and the elevation of the part attracting it. One who is simple enough to believe in a talisman rarely has anything more than material motives. In an event, such practice implies a narrowness and weakness of mind that would naturally pave the way for inferior and mocking spirits. And as I said in the beginning, everything starts with a sentiment. The sentiment will produce thoughts. With the thoughts, there is the intention. So even if my holding on to the practice of talisman, I think, but my intentions are positive. What I want to do with the talisman is to help people get better, get myself better for good reasons. There is no reason that I would not attract more evolved spirits because the intention behind of it is good. The talisman is nonsensical, but the intention of assistance to others is noble. I will attract noble spirits, not because of the talisman, not because of the cross that hangs on my chest, and nothing like that, but because I have in my heart that produce those intentions that are more noble and elevated, and therefore I will have an affinity with more noble and well-intended spirits as well, not because of any material thing again. Okay. Philip, I'm not very technical smart. I wonder if is there a way that you could up your volume over there, maybe with the up over here. I'm guessing because I don't know.
Maybe he gets closer to his mic.
I'm on an iPad and I see no controls for
Okay.
volume.
Yeah, because here I'm up all the way, I can go now.
Is it different than normal? Is my volume lower than normal?
Yeah, for some reason.
I can hear Philip very well. Sometimes I don't hear you very well, Elmo. And I can
Okay.
hear very little from Louisa far away.
So there must be something system-wide that's going on.
Oh, nothing I can do now. Let's go.
Okay, 555.
Yes, please. Let me get it there.
Okay.
Okay.
How should we understand the word sorcerer? Sorcerers are individuals who are gifted when they are honest with exceptional abilities like magnetic power or second sight. These individuals can do things that you do not understand. Therefore, you think that they are gifted with supernatural powers. If we take a look at history, how many ignorant people have accused educated persons of being sorcerers? Spiritism and magnetism give us the key to phenomena that ignorance has explained by exaggerated fables. The enlightened knowledge of these two sciences, which are actually one, show the reality of things and their true cause, which is the best protection against superstition and misconception. It shows what is possible and what is impossible, what is written in natural law and what is simply an outrageous belief.
Okay. So the first thing that I would like to comment here is that the scripture did not mention the word mediumship, the word medium over here. They limited the understanding of a sorcerer as someone with magnetic energy that is more, that is above the average. Because we all have energies. All living beings have magnetic energies. So three have a magnetic energies. In the works of Mesmer, he would utilize magnetic energies from plants, from trees, in his work. Okay, but some human beings has that capability that is greater than others. Okay, some have, they put over here the ability of sightseeing, seeing at a distance, not mediumship. Okay, these are not mediums. Okay, they are able, some individuals are able to see within the physical body, not beyond the skin. They can perceive that someone has a problem in the stomach. They can perceive someone has a problem with in the heart. The heart is funky, and somehow they are able to see that, not mediumship. And his ability, and the spirit says, you guys do not understand that. Okay, these individuals can do things that you do not understand. Therefore, you think that they are gifted with supernatural powers. Again, supernatural is a derogation of the perfection of God. Okay, there cannot be anything that is supernatural. If it happens, it's within natural laws. The problem is we need to be humble enough to understand we do not know the natural laws yet, but they're scraping the surface. Spiritism in itself is a science, is only less than 200 years old yet. There's a lot to progress, there's a lot to learn yet. So we don't know anything. Okay, but what spirits take clear to us here is that it's not supernatural. He's not talking about mediumship. I have to reinforce that here. An individual is gifted with mesmerism, the word of magnetism that is based on the works of Mesmer. And Kardec was himself contemporaneous with Mesmer, and he said that Kardec studied with Mesmer about magnetism, and that's why he says over here that spiritism and magnetism are two sciences that indeed is one science. Okay, because spiritism recognizes that ability that some individuals have. Don't know how. The spirits don't explain how yet. And also, you guys don't know that yet. But eventually, like everything else, we'll figure this out. Eventually, you know, the natives in Brazil will understand that the guy put alcohol in that thing. It was not water. Okay? $5.56. Unless the question.
Do some individuals really possess the gift of healing by touch? Magnetic power may act to that extent when it is supported by a purity of intent and the fervent desire to do good. In such a case, good spirits render their services. You must be cautious of exaggerated stories recounted by individuals who, overly gullible or enthusiastic, can discover something special, spectacular in even the most ordinary and natural occurrences. Likewise, be cautious of individuals who exploit gullibility for their own benefit.
Okay, so we go back to individuals with this magnetic power. They may have even the ability of hearing. Some individuals have the ability of seeing a problem. Some individuals have the ability of resolving that problem. Some individuals has both abilities. They see the problem and are able to resolve the problem. So somebody may see dysfunction in the kidneys of someone and may be able to apply magnetic energies and harmonize that kidneys and fix the problem. Okay, how does it happen? Still, we do not know. Was not revealed to us. And I think because it's not something of the spiritual, it's not, again, mediumship, it's something pertaining to this world, it's our job to figure it out. I don't think the spirits are going to reveal it to us. We're going to have to do our own homework and get to understand those mechanisms. Once we start to pay more attention to it, when you start to be so proudful and understand there is other things for us to study beyond the sciences that we learn in school today, and expand the sciences to look at this kind of energies with greater curiosity and try to understand it. And I think we start moving in that direction slowly while liberating ourselves, being more free to look in greater depth this kind of energies. There is something now even in hospital that is associated with the medical care. There is a parallel kind of medicine of treatment being offered to individuals. Yoga, music, dogs, going to hospital. So there's something that we are opening our eyes to something that transcends the purely physical. And that goes with the magnetic point, something that defines the totally physical. It's energy. They don't need to understand yet. And some do have the ability of healing. And again, we all have, to a small degree, others have a greater degree. A hug to someone at a time may be extremely therapeutic, may really heal someone with a simple hug at a time. Because what matters most over here is because when it's supported by purity of intent and the fervent desire to do good. At that moment, as we said before, we create that affinity, that attraction of the spirits, more elevated spirits, who have the same intention and the same fervent desire to do good, that may be able to assist and help at that moment. So things can happen, even us, more average individuals with our little magnetism, we can be of assistance. Use the very little that we have within us that can be augmented when our intentions are good and we attract good spirits that can assist in the process.
So in this case, so means that the magnetic power that those individuals have, it's above, it's higher than the healing mediums, right?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
And then we do that when we give passes, so we are being, we are transmitting somehow those magnetics.
When we are given,
right?
when we are given passes, we act as both, but mostly as intermediary, therefore
Yeah.
mediums, from the energies that from the spiritual world
Yeah.
that get going to deliver those energies to those receiving it.
Yeah, because it then goes to the
But we
spiritual
also,
intent.
right, but we also donate what we have to donate. Right, so during the passes, we want to be the intermediary, the connection between the spiritual world and the physical world, and passes the spiritual energies, those come to receive the passes. But with that, come whatever we have within us that can be helpful to that individual. There's both of them. When you speak of magnetism, in general, we are taking off the spiritual part of it. I particularly do not believe in it. I believe everything that you do it because there is the law of affinity, because it's always being bombarded by spirits around us. If my intent is good and that individual deserves or would be helpful that individual to receive that healing, good spirits will come and help. So I think that even in magnetism, there is assistance of the spirits. But we're going to take that out. Almost like didactical, make a differentiation between the two of them. But I personally believe that there is always a spiritual assistance in for the good and for the bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If I decide to go on a rob a bank, maybe assisted by spirits who enjoy this kind of violence or anything as well. All right, so we should be able to finish this chapter and start chapter 10 that I think is a lot more interesting. 57, blessing and cures is just one question. I'm glad that deck doesn't spend much time on it.
Do blessings and curses attract good and bad things to those who are their object? God does not listen to an unfair curse, and whoever speaks it is guilty before God. As we are subjected to two contrasting influences, good and bad, there may be a short-lived action. However, this action can never take place unless God wills it to happen as an additional trial for the subject of said curse. In any event, curses are usually set on the wicked and blessings on the good. Neither a blessing nor a curse can escape Providence's justice, which only strikes the cursed if they are wicked and favors the blessed if they merit protection.
Okay. So do blessings and curses attract good and bad spirit to those who are their object. So if I wanted to torment my neighbor, can I say a curse and that will attract bad spirits that will help me to hurt my neighbor? If my neighbor is vigilant and pray, no. I can send all kind of curses I want, but I already committed myself. I already created a karma for myself, right? As Jesus said, that we can sin by thought. if I think of my neighbor's wife, I already sin by thought, even if I don't commit that. I already commit the karma, a responsibility, only by having those thoughts. And of course, you surround myself with spirits with the same kind of thoughts, right? It would be impractical to believe that God, the good spirits, would participate in anything malevolent. Let's imagine there's New York City baseball. We have Yanks and Mets, right? And all the Yanks then are curse the Yanks players, and all the Mets then are curse, and vice versa. And we are praying very with all our heart for our team to win. Who's God gonna pick? Is God gonna favor the Yanks or the Mets? Or the good spirits gonna join with each team? In general, we win the better team, regardless of all the curses, of all the prayers that you may send to those players, to that team. The good spirits will completely ignore both sides. They don't care. Okay. But the individual who pray and say, may they have a good care, may no one get injured, that will attract the good spirits. Regardless of who win or lose, the thought was, let it be civil, let it be, no one get injured, let everyone do the best, and maybe the better one of it. That will attract the good spirits. Because again, we go back, we are not attracted by anything material, and we will associate in accordance with that which we have in our heart. Because our sentiments or have in our heart will produce the thoughts. And the thoughts is the energy that will attract the spirits around us. Not blessings, not curses, none of that. So we completed this chapter. Going to start a new chapter now, 90 minutes. That I think personally much more interesting. Is there any questions regarding what we just saw now? We're not going to go back to it. Okay, so chapter 10, the spirits, occupation, and mission.
Want to start?
Yeah, Philip, I'd like you to read both 58 and 59 together, please.
Okay. Do spirits have anything else to do besides working on their own personal betterment? They contribute to the harmony of the universe by carrying out the will of God, whom they serve. Spirit life is a ceaseless occupation, but nothing like the painful labor of the human life, because spirits experience neither physical weariness nor the torment of physical needs. 559. Do lower and imperfect spirits have any useful purpose in the universe? They all have duties to fulfill. Doesn't the lowest mason contribute to the construction of a building as much as the architect?
Okay, so I write both together because as we spoke before, this is extremely objective in their answers. And in general, the spirits you say, when I say the spirits themselves, once in this book, they think more of the moral of the spirits. And when they want to mention the spirits like us, they say unevolved spirits, ignorant spirits, evil spirits, they will put a quality to the spirit. If you just say only spirits, in general, they think of more about the spirit. And you see over here on 58, the question is, do spirits have anything else besides working on personal betterment? And we see in that answer, they're talking about the spirits, more elevated spirits. They contribute to the harmony of the universe by carrying out the will of God. That already tells me that is what about the spirit, right? Whom they serve. The spirit life is ceaseless occupation, but nothing like the painful of human life, because the spirits experience neither physical weariness nor the torments of physical needs. Unfortunately, there are a lot of spirits in the spiritual world who still have both the physical weariness and are tormented by physical needs. We receive in our mediumship spirits who are in need of things that pertaining to this physical world, have not been able to detach, will not be able to liberate themselves with all the passions associated with the flesh. And naturally they suffer because of that. Then Kardec says, well, what about the other spirits? If you say that those spirits who are now at the point to serve God, and by the way, we all serve God. We're going to see, we'll go back to 540, we see that. What about the other spirits? Those are more inferior spirits. And the question, do lower and imperfect spirit have any useful purpose in the universe? And then the spirits complete here, but to all spirits, everyone is contributing for progress of ourselves and to everything else, right? They all have duties to fulfill. Doesn't the lowest mason contribute to the construction of a building as much as the architect? No, if going to build that building, we're gonna have the architect, we're gonna have the civil engineering, you're gonna have the individuals with a higher degree of education, and we're gonna have the ones who will carry the load, have the ones who will put bricks together, okay? And I don't care how smart the architect is or the engineer is, the building does not stand up without the one who is putting those bricks, one who's carrying the load on their back. So everyone contributes, each one of us inside of our capabilities. Everyone is important. Everyone is needed to put that building up. Okay? Now, when we studied this part of the book, that's question 540, I said, I was giving the talk that day, of the importance of the answer and of the comment of Kardec to that answer. That deals specifically what we are talking about now. So I think it's important to go back there and read that. And now we'll do that. $540,
540.
please.
Do the spirits who exert power over natural phenomena act intelligently and with conscious intent, or from an instinctive and irrational impulse? Some act in one way and others in another. Let us make a comparison. Think of the host of animals that gradually formed islands and archipelagos in the ocean. Do you think that the transformation of the Earth's surface has no divine purpose and is not necessary to the general harmony? All this is accomplished by animals of the lowest degree that are simply providing for their physical needs without being aware that they are God's instruments. In the same way, spirits of the most rudimentary degrees are useful to the general whole. While preparing for life and before having full awareness of their acts and of their free will, they act upon certain phenomena in which they are the unwitting agents. They begin by executing the orders of their superiors, and when their intelligence is more developed, they direct the processes of the material world. Further along, they are able to direct the effects of the moral world. This is how everything is useful. Everything in nature is linked together from the original atom to the archangel, who began as an atom. This is an admirable law of harmony that your mind is still too narrow to fully comprehend.
Everything contributes. I think this question one that you should keep in mind all the time, that it gives a very good synthesis of what we are doing here, from the atom to the archangel, in our process, in an evolutionary path to reach the level of crisis. But one day, we are associated with the simplest marine beings, very simple beings that are building islands, not interested if they build the islands, and just interested in surviving. All they want to do is survive. They eat and reproduce. That's all they want to do. By doing that, they are contributing to the betterment of this globe. By doing that, they contribute to enlargement of islands and aqueducts throughout the oceans. So everything is working, okay? The thing is, very often we understand the word lower and imperfect spirits as evil spirits. We have to free ourselves from that. They're just simple and ignorant in the path to perfection. And everyone works, everyone's contributing. Because God being absolute perfection is also absolute perfection in his humbleness. Doesn't sign his name on anything. It dictates what people can do to make the betterment, but let them take the credit. Again, give us honey and let the bees take credit for it. Okay, but everyone is working. We will continue next week. 5, 6 is a very important question as well. Is there any question? Not Carol, are you there?
Yes, sorry, my computer was not working so well today. Yes, I am, and I'm happy to do the final prayer. Thank you very much, Elmo.
Thank you.
And thank you, Philip, for reading for us this evening, and everyone who would be participating tonight. Infinite Creator and Supreme Intelligence, we give thanks to be together as brothers and sisters for our studies of the Spirit's Book, Book 2, Chapter 9, involving occult powers, talismans, sorcerers, blessings and curses, and spirit occupations and missions. Spirits are attracted by thoughts and not by potions, talismans, special words, or material objects. People with strong magnetic power could use it for negative purposes. However, as we educate ourselves, we won't be influenced by such practices that may be linked to superstitions or low-order spirits. Sorcerers may have the ability of second sight, exceptional abilities, and magnetic energy. These may be incomprehensible, but are within the natural law. Beware of exaggerations and activities that exploit less aware individuals. Blessings and curses relate directly to vibration and intent. All spirits contribute to harmony of the universe through their unique capabilities and vital for the progress as God's instruments, from the atom to the archangel. We give thanks to the spiritual benefactors and the good spirits for guiding and inspiring us this evening. May we receive the love, light, and peace of Christ within us, and for our loved ones, our teachers, our directors, our counselors, our mediums, our workers, and all participants. We pray for inner peace, and especially now for world peace, and for those who are suffering in the physical and spiritual worlds. We pray for our center, SGNY, and all spiritist centers throughout the world, that they may grow, prosper, expand, and be protected by day and by night. As we close, we humbly ask for safety and protection as we return to family, friends, loved ones, and co-workers. May we go forth and remind ourselves to be beacons of love, of light, of peace, of service, and charity, which is love in action. May peace and love prevail. So be it.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
You all
Thank